Dawson Rider Review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of S.H.Figuarts Darth Vader. That's right, Figuarts Darth Vader. It's like two worlds colliding. So this is my first Star Wars figure art review, and one of the first Star Wars figure arts they've been doing. They have Vader. Stormtroopers came out at the same time. Unfortunately, I didn't get one right now. They're also doing Darth Maul and Luke Skywalker, and I feel like I'm forgetting someone else, but those are the ones I know of. But anyway, still, it's pretty neat. Fun fact, before I start, I'm sure all of you want to know this, but back when I started this channel, I originally had Star Wars reviews on the docket alongside my Toku and Ben 10 reviews. It was back when they did those little anniversary line with the coins, if anyone remembers that. But I just had so much to review, I ended up cutting it from the channel, so I just think it's kind of funny that a Star Wars toy wound up making its way into one of my main reviewing genres. Anyway, that's just a fact about me that's really boring, and I just unsubscribed to myself, so I wouldn't blame you. But anyway, here we are. So if you don't know the reviews, we always start with the packaging. The packaging is pretty straightforward. There's nothing, I don't know why I have an accent there, too spectacular about it, but it's still pretty neat. It seems very classy. You have a really nice Star Wars logo right there that's all in gold. Fingerprints from where you can... Alright, touched it in the little description here. Figuarts says Darth Vader. It's kind of got this shiny-esque box. It's just kind of super classy. You got the little designs here on the side that are shiny, a little Star Wars logo, a little picture of Vader there. On the back, mo fingerprints, mo problems. But yeah, more fingerprints. Shows you some poses you can get them in. There's the Stormtroopers. I probably will pick them up at some point. I just wanted to get one to see what the quality was like. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you noticed, there is a giant little set piece behind him, which can clearly not fit in that box. It was a bonus that came with it from episode 6, and it is in this large box, but I'm not going to bother showing off because it's really just a black box. It's got a little bit of the design of this piece right here on it, but it's honestly nothing worth showing off. It's just a large black box. But yeah, definitely didn't come in that Figuarts box. But anyhow, we'll take a quick look at that. There's not too much to see. Pretty much what you're looking at right now is what you get. For accessories for Vader, you get the pretty typical fare of just extra hands here. You can see here the closed ones are on him when you get them. You have some for holding the lightsaber, some force hands, and then you actually get, right here, which they showed on the back of the box, there we go, you get a cutoff hand, which is really neat. And then he is holding the hilt of his lightsaber right now, if you can see that. And then you do get a full-on version, which has the hilt, obviously. Can you imagine, like, what if it came with a hilt one, and then a full one, and then just the blade for no reason? Like, how would you even go about that? But yeah, just the blade. It's not too out of line with most lightsabers you get with Star Wars toys, like the Black Series, or a larger scale one for like the regular ones. But real quick, we're gonna set old Vady here on the side. I don't know why I called him Vady. But this here is blurry. No, but this is pretty basic. I mean, it's a really cool accessory, but there's nothing really to go over. I mean, what you're seeing here is really what you get. There's this little staircase here, which is all gray. The only assembly you really have to do is put these two little pieces here on, and then here on the bottom, there's also two little pieces which you snap onto this larger piece so it can stand up. That is the only assembly required. It takes you like maybe 30 seconds. But yeah, it's just this basic piece of plastic. It's very simple, but it pulls it off. It's very impressive. Like, I knew it would be a large set piece, but it's still like when I got the box of stuff and I had that large black box with this in it, it was still pretty impressive, especially for like a release bonus. It's just a really neat little set piece, and obviously Vader looking or sitting up there looks really cool, and then having stormtroopers and stuff look even cooler. But yeah, that's a really, really neat bonus if you get your hands on that. Just a really cool thing to have. No idea where I'm going to put it in display. Alright, but now let's look at old Vady himself. Let's just kind of do a pan. Overall, look-wise, it's a pretty damn good looking figure. The head sculpt, I think they did a pretty good job on. It looks very accurate. I don't have too many proportion problems. It's got a nice shine to the helmet. I think they did a good job there on that. His chest details here and his belt are also well done. The sort of look of the armor versus the fabric is well done for the most part. Like the plastic pieces that represent the fabric have little folds in them, as they usually do. You got the little crisscross fabric going on his arms. So detail-wise, pretty well done. Nice proportion. What's really nice here, I'm zoom out a little bit, it's getting fuzzy. The boots here have a really nice shine to it. They're not die cast, but they definitely give the look of what they look like in the movie, which is really nice. The lightsaber hilt here has the same details as the one I just showed, with the blade on it, just without the blade, obviously. Then you even got his little chain right here for his cape. But yeah, detail-wise, very good looking. You can just see him sitting there looking like Darth Vader. It looks good, and him looking up there, him sitting there up on the base looks good. The cape is kind of a sop? Wow, me are good at talking. Soft, rubbery material, which is pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. And it flows really well. It's fairly easy to work with. My only real problem with it is kind of heavy. I don't encounter too many capes in Figuarts, but it is kind of heavy, so it can kind of cause some issues sometimes. Luckily, he can rest on it, and it's kind of a little pain to work around sometimes when you're posing. And my only other real minor nitpick about it is sometimes it'll get hitched up on here, so he'll just have this big cape piece sticking up. But for the most part, I think they did a good job on it. I'm not sure what else they would have done. The shoulder pads here do a really good job of tracking his movement, meaning like if you put his arm in any position, you can reposition the shoulder pads so you don't have this gap here, which is kind of, I don't know, for whatever reason, I put a lot of stock into that with Figuarts. There's some figures where you'll move it and the shoulder pad is so removed and you always get a weird gap, but they have a really good system here for not having that and stuff like that. There's also some soft plastic here down on these cloth pieces, which, like I said, for the most part, it's easy to work with. It's bendable enough you can get them into poses, but like it still can cause a little bit of annoyance when you're wanting to pose them, and it'll just kind of get in the way and prevent you from getting to stuff. But once you do get him in the pose, it does look good. And yeah, articulation wise, if you haven't had a Figuart before, it's pretty much the same deal here. You have a nice ball joint here, great range of motion, 360, all of that, swiveling here, double elbow joint. You have a swiveling here at the wrist, a little ball joint for the joint that you put in. There is potential articulation at the waist and chest. You really only get it at the waist. The chest one is covered up by the solid piece of his armor. 360 ball joint on his leg, swiveling, double knee joint. You got a nice little joint here on his foot too, so you can get some motion. And a little toe bending joint. And then his head and neck also have some nice articulation. It's a little bit hindered by his cape, but it's still the same base Figuarts stuff. Like I said, if you're watching this and you've never seen a Figuart before, they're just very well articulated figures in general. I do not really have any loose joint problems with them. They're not like the tightest joints I've ever experienced on a Figuart, but they're not loose, to the point where they're flopping around or anything, so that's nice. But for the most part, this is a pretty nice figure. I feel like it's one of those weird ones where I don't really have any problems with it. It looks pretty good. It has good articulation. It's got this nice stand. The accessories look good. When you get it in a good pose, it looks pretty damn good. I don't really have any glaring issues in it. I just kind of expected to be a bit more impressed. It's not that I don't like him. It's just I was expecting a smidge more, and I feel like that's more of a personal thing than anything. It is a good figure. And if you are thinking about picking it up and you really want it, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a very well articulated, good looking Darth Vader figure. But I also think that the Black Series one was pretty good looking as well, which I have. It's a little bit different style of figure, but just sitting there on the shelf, I think it almost looks just as good, and it's a little bit cheaper. So for this, I would say I can recommend it, but just make sure you find a good price for it, because these were a smidge more pricey than regular Figuarts. And like I said, it could just be a very personal thing that I just felt like I was expecting a smidge more. But it's still a good figure, so if you're really wanting it and you're on the fence, I don't think you'll be disappointed. But I just want to, deliver the point of I can recommend it, but just make sure you don't pay too much for it. But the base is definitely a worth it thing if you can get it. It's a really neat accessory, and it's not like a extravagantly expensive metal or highly detailed set piece, but it's just a really neat one to have, especially if you get more characters and stuff like that. But anyway, until next time, make sure you check out the Crazy Podcast at writersrangersandrambles.com. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, it's Dawson Rider, signing out.